have to get 93% final average in every subject for the whole year. Now that includes art and music and PE and computer. They could have nothing below a B on the whole grade card. And this is only given to 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders.
Mrs. Ash, will you come up, please? Mrs. Ash is Ashley.
Let's tell them what frog means. Now it's going to be loud and clear, okay? 1, 2, 3. Oh, I don't think any of them will miss that. Fully relying on God. And boys and girls, I see you do that day in and day out. And you come and tell me about that. And some of you have borrowed the frogs from my office. And that was to remind you, maybe when you were in the hospital, one of our little frogs was called Mr. Frog and Mr. Cuddles, and he got his name from the hospital bracelet that they gave him when they took him to the hospital. This is an award of recognizing one student in particular for having applied the frog principle. And really, boys and girls, this is somebody who has done it very quietly. I didn't know about it either. You know, sometimes that's what life is. Sometimes you go through some really hard things, and maybe nobody else even knows about it except your parents. But you come to school every day, you put your smile on your face, and you say, "Good morning, Mrs. Meckstroth," and you add to our joy. And you just do that day in and day out. Well, this girl has been doing that. And yet she's had some problems going on in her belly. Well, here's what happened. The teacher, she writes journal things, and the teacher gave me her journal entry. Because I asked the teachers to kind of help me with this award because I might not know about everything that's going on in your lives. So I hope this girl won't care, but I'm going to read her journal entry. I prayed and prayed for my belly to stop hurting. For 8 years and going to 9, God is teaching me through this pain to trust Him more. Sometimes I go a few months without pain. I know that God is providing me breaks from my pain. Sometimes I do special prayers for my belly. I say, "Jesus, please help my belly to stop hurting." Just for a couple weeks, and sometimes it works. I am trusting Jesus more and more. So the award for fully relying on God, our frog award this year, and we have a little frog from my office that they did, and I'm sure they know now after hearing it, Mackenzie Mysterious. Let's have Mrs. Long come up here. Well, boys and girls, it's bittersweet for me to tell you goodbye, but guess what? I love you very, very much, and I wouldn't be telling you goodbye unless I felt like there was somebody else who's going to love you too and take care of you the way I have. And you know Mrs. Long, and you know the love she has for you. So I have no doubt what's going to happen at this school with Mrs. Long as principal. So I enjoy in turning the elementary school over to Mrs. Long. And you're going to really, the culture and everything, you're going to grow close to Jesus just like you have been. She'll have some wonderful new things. Everybody does things a little bit differently, and she's going to have some wonderful new things to do, and it's going to be a wonderful year for you. So, as only you can do, welcome your new principal.
Sometimes God does things in your life that you don't always get excited about or actually like. And right now is one of those moments for us here at Troy Christian. Years ago, we said one of the things that we really felt very strong about with our students at Troy Christian is that our students would begin to understand the importance of being salt in their world. And that it doesn't have to happen when you get older. That you can be salt in your world now. But it takes leaders who are, first of all, committed to Jesus, and then leaders who are committed to God's Word, and then leaders who are willing sometimes to do hard things in order for salt to be able to do what it needs to do in our lives. And Mrs. Meckstroth has been a wonderful example.
But we have lots of changes that are coming up this next school year. First of all, so we're going to announce these, and we'll have the people stand. They don't necessarily have to come up front, but Mrs. Plants, will you stand? Oh, she's our kindergarten teacher. I should have done it earlier. Well, I think most of you know, but maybe some of you don't. Mrs. Plants, who has been our kindergarten teacher for 13 years, is now going to be, do you know? She's moving up to 6th grade this year. So, guess what? All of you people who had Mrs. Plants as a kindergarten teacher, you can have her as a 6th grade teacher. That's going to be exciting, isn't it? Mr. Weaver, will you go knock on Mr. John's door? He's going to come over, okay? We have one of our preschool teachers who has been teaching the 4-year-olds, and he's going to be coming into the elementary school. And I know you people know him because he's also a daddy of one of our elementary students and one of our preschool students. So here comes Mr. Johns, who is going to be the new kindergarten teacher. Let's welcome. Your face and to realize that you will be in the kindergarten school. Thanks, you're welcome. Mrs. Wrench, will you stand? Here's Mrs. Wrench. Now I know the first graders, some of the kindergartners are saying, oh, but I want to be my first grade teacher. Well, guess what? You all get to have a part of Mrs. Wrench now because she's going to be moving into the STEM teacher, science, technology, engineering, and math, and she's going to be working with your teachers in the classroom for some hands-on fun activities, and so she'll be working with all grade levels, and she's also going to be helping with the curriculum. So let's give her a round of applause. If our Mrs. Fisher made it, did she? The person who is going to be taking her place is Mrs. Susan Fisher. How many of you remember Mrs. Fisher from Suffolk? Okay. She's going to be moving into Mrs. Wrench's position, and so she will be our new first grade teacher. And of course, we have our 6th graders, and they're moving too, aren't they? Stand up, 6th graders. They're going to be moving, and I see Mr. Orange back there. They're going to be moving over to Mr. Orange's building, and guess what? You're getting a dynamic group of students. I'm sure they're going to be great for our junior high culture. So let's give our sixth graders a round of applause. And now we have two very special ladies that are going to be leaving Troy Christian Schools at the end of this year. First, will our Mrs. Steffi come up, please? With all of you. And she's been our assistant. In fact, she used to be an assistant just in one classroom. When you first started out, she has assisted Mrs. Hughes, she has assisted, was it almost? Mrs. Williams, Mrs. Lamb, Mrs. Smart. So she has been there for individual classes. And then when we got to the place where we didn't use assistants in all the classrooms, she became the assistant at the elementary school. And so you've seen her in the cafeteria, you've seen her on the playground, and you see her go. And she's got a connection with it for 15 years. So we would like to present her with the Troy Christian pin for 15 years.
I would like Mrs. Meckstroth to stand